What is photography?
Photography is the art and science of creating images by recording light, either electronically using digital sensors or chemically using film.
What does the term photography mean etymologically?
Photography comes from Greek roots phos, light, and graph, drawing, meaning drawing with light.
What are the three fundamental elements of the exposure triangle?
The exposure triangle consists of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, which together control the brightness and quality of an image.
What is a camera?
A camera is a light-tight device that captures images by focusing light onto a sensor or film through a lens.
What is the difference between analog and digital photography?
Analog photography uses film to chemically record light, while digital photography uses electronic sensors to capture and store images as data files.
What are the main types of cameras for beginners?
Common beginner cameras include point-and-shoot compacts, smartphone cameras, mirrorless cameras, and entry-level DSLRs.
What is a DSLR camera?
A DSLR, digital single-lens reflex, uses a mirror and optical viewfinder to show the exact scene seen by the lens before capture.
What is a mirrorless camera?
A mirrorless camera lacks a mirror, using an electronic viewfinder or LCD screen to preview the image in real time.
What is the role of the camera sensor?
The sensor converts light into electrical signals, creating a digital image. Larger sensors like full-frame capture more light and detail.
What is the shutter in a camera?
The shutter is a mechanism that controls the duration of light exposure to the sensor, determining motion blur.
What does the viewfinder do?
The viewfinder allows the photographer to compose the shot and see focus. It can be optical in DSLRs or electronic in mirrorless cameras.
What is the purpose of the camera lens?
The lens focuses light rays onto the sensor or film to form a sharp image, with different focal lengths affecting field of view.
What is focal length?
Focal length is the distance from the lens to the sensor when focused on infinity, measured in millimeters. Shorter lengths widen the view, longer narrow it.
What is the difference between prime and zoom lenses?
Prime lenses have a fixed focal length for sharper images and wider apertures, while zoom lenses offer variable focal lengths for versatility.
What do f-stops measure?
F-stops measure aperture size, where lower numbers like f/2.8 allow more light and shallower depth of field.
What is aperture?
Aperture is the opening in the lens that controls light intake and depth of field. Wider apertures create blurred backgrounds.
What is shutter speed?
Shutter speed is the time the shutter remains open, measured in seconds or fractions. Fast speeds freeze motion, slow ones blur it.
What is ISO?
ISO measures sensor sensitivity to light. Low ISO, e.g., 100, for bright conditions. High ISO, e.g., 3200, for low light but with more noise.
How do aperture, shutter speed, and ISO interact?
They balance exposure. Widening aperture or slowing shutter speed lets in more light, as does raising ISO, but each affects depth of field, motion, and noise.
What is depth of field?
Depth of field, DOF, is the range of distance in a scene that appears sharp. Shallow DOF from wide apertures isolates subjects.
What is exposure?
Exposure is the total light reaching the sensor, determined by aperture, shutter speed, and ISO for proper image brightness.
What is overexposure and underexposure?
Overexposure makes images too bright with lost highlights. Underexposure makes them too dark with lost shadows.
What is the rule of thirds in composition?
The rule of thirds divides the frame into a 3x3 grid, placing key elements along lines or intersections for balanced, dynamic compositions.
What are leading lines?
Leading lines are natural or artificial lines that guide the viewer's eye through the image to the main subject.
What is framing in photography?
Framing uses elements like windows or branches to enclose the subject, adding context and focus.
What is the rule of space?
The rule of space leaves empty area in the direction of subject movement or gaze, creating a sense of direction.
What is symmetry in composition?
Symmetry centers subjects evenly for balanced, formal images, often using reflections or architecture.
What are patterns and textures?
Patterns repeat elements for visual interest, textures add tactile quality, enhanced by side lighting.
What is negative space?
Negative space is empty area around the subject, emphasizing it and creating minimalist compositions.
What is the golden ratio?
The golden ratio, 1 minute and 1.618 seconds, is a spiral-based composition guide more organic than the rule of thirds for natural flow.
What is white balance?
White balance adjusts colors to make whites neutral under different light sources like daylight or tungsten.
What are the main shooting modes?
Modes include auto, camera decides, program, P, auto exposure balance, aperture priority, AV, shutter priority, TV, and manual, M, full control.
What is metering?
Metering measures scene light for correct exposure. Modes include evaluative, center-weighted, and spot.
What is autofocus, AF?
Autofocus automatically adjusts lens focus, single, AFS, for static, continuous, AFC, for moving subjects.
What is manual focus?
Manual focus lets the photographer turn the lens ring for precise control, useful in low light or macro.
What is natural light?
Natural light comes from the sun or sky, golden hour, sunrise/sunset, provides soft, warm illumination.
What is the three-point lighting setup?
Three-point lighting uses key, main, fill, shadow softener, and rim/back, separation, lights for professional portraits.
What is a histogram?
A histogram graphs tonal distribution. It helps assess exposure, with peaks indicating shadows, mid-tones, and highlights.
What is RAW versus JPEG?
RAW files retain unprocessed sensor data for editing flexibility. JPEG is compressed with baked-in processing for smaller files.
What is a tripod used for?
A tripod stabilizes the camera to prevent shake, essential for long exposures, low light, or sharp macro shots.
What is the sunny 16 rule?
The sunny 16 rule states that on a sunny day, use f/16 aperture and 1/ISO shutter speed, e.g., ISO 100 at 1/100s.
What is hyperfocal distance?
Hyperfocal distance is the closest focus point where everything from half that distance to infinity is sharp.
What is bokeh?
Bokeh is the aesthetic quality of blurred out-of-focus areas, achieved with wide apertures and long lenses.
What is flash photography?
Flash provides artificial light, TTL auto-exposes, while manual controls power for fill or main light.
What is high dynamic range, HDR?
HDR combines multiple exposures to capture wide tonal range, ideal for high contrast scenes like landscapes.
What is focus stacking?
Focus stacking merges images at different focus points for greater depth of field, common in macro photography.
What is noise in images?
Noise is grainy artifacts from high ISO or long exposures, reduced by lower ISO, noise reduction, or better sensors.
What is lens flare?
Lens flare is light streaks from sun in frame. Use lens hoods or position sun behind objects to minimize.
What are common file formats for photos?
Formats include JPEG, compressed, web-ready, raw, editable, PNG, lossless, transparent, and TIFF, high-quality print.
What is basic post-processing?
Post-processing adjusts exposure, color, contrast, and cropping in software like Lightroom to enhance images without altering reality.
What is the stop in photography?
A stop doubles or halves light, one stop wider aperture, f/4 to f/2.8, faster shutter, 1/100th to 1/200th, or ISO change, 200 to 400.